Okay, Wrestle Talk Show fans. So, as promised, I've calmed down and I'm going to elaborate on this a little more uh, because I kind of got a little heated because it's not a bias against the two companies. It's not favoring one over the other. It's a pretty simple platform that they created once again that they keep trying to stray away from to stay current. But what they did before gave them more success. It goes back to what I was saying before that why aren't shareholders asking questions like you we were making so much money before, years before down the road, and so far, Vince, over the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen okay, about a $4.5 million loss, give or take, just in pay-per-view revenue. Why is this being ignored by people that are paying per share? People that are paying bigger money than your couple people with a couple $1,000 in the stock. These are big organizations, big firms that want to see returns. And where he makes money in other areas, why is he being excused for $4.5 million worth of loss that back in, and it's not that long ago, back in 2007 when the records start, he was at almost $18.5 million a year in revenue. And it slowly declined down to 13 and some change. Why is why is just because he's making money in other areas this bleed being allowed to happen? But I bet you he was worried when he acquisitioned his competitors and had to get rid of all the dead weight on the roster that if he really analyzed the roster, a lot of those guys had talent but wouldn't get to be showcased like Vince McMahon likes to showcase things. Now let's review. Vince likes big guys. Vince likes guys that are good on mic. Likes athletes. Vince likes guys that talk good on a mic, look good on a camera, can wrestle without hurting somebody, and create a good character that can make him money. All of Vince McMahon's acquisitions are how can this make me money? The typical businessman. Some would say a little shrewder than others, but business nonetheless. Um, and I mean, just to hit another point while I'm looking over the notes, even though it's something I brought up in part one, why, if it's bleeding money, how is he justifying an increase? The increase from 2009 to 2010, again, it went from $45 to $50 before any taxes or fees just by WWE for the pay per view. But how was the $5 increase justified if, when it was instituted, revenue had been going down for 3 years? It was bleeding money. No one was buying it at $45 plus fees. So, what justified a $5 increase? And where along the lines did it come up? This increase is going to make us more money, and somebody didn't raise their hand and say, "Well, we're at 45 right now, $45 per pay per view." And yeah, they get a cut of the taxes and the fees, but the taxes and the fees basically cover fees they've already had to put out to be televised. Not defending it, because I do think it's astronomical, especially for what you're getting. reference the video, is wrestling worth $100? Is the current product worth $100, or is wrestling worth $100? A couple videos down on my main page, and you'll see what I mean. YouTube.com/CWE Company. And remember, this video and all other videos can be seen at WrestleTalkShow.webs.com. And moving on, I just don't. If I was vested in this guy, I would be asking these questions, because regardless of whether or not he's still making you money, he's also costing you money. Where if it's going to cost you money, aren't you better off either A, revamping it before it costs you even more money, B, stopping the bleed and stopping pay-per-view altogether, or C, the fan vote here, focus on the product like you did 5 years ago and work from there. It's not all about entertainment. You were a pro wrestling business who broke it. You produced great stars, you produced great product. You're obviously doing something wrong that 5 years ago you weren't doing as wrong. We all know wrestling in general has been a little whacked for the last 10, 15, 20 years, however far back you decide to go. That's a fan's call. But go back to the drawing board and say, look at your own numbers. I mean, is anybody looking? Is what I always want to know when I go on these rants. Like, the people that are crunching the numbers, yeah, Vince, we cleared, but we're losing money in areas that we used to be our biggest strong point, because the stories that were concluded on the pay-per-view meant something. It meant something for a title to be defended. And that's why I said in part one that it all comes full circle, because it does. Now WWE spent years having the product make the money. Now the product's made so much money that the product's name, not the product itself, the name that the product operates under, can have its hands in so many different things. And yes, some of those things are making them money, but a lot of those things are not. And when you, I can see a one-time loss or a one-quarter loss of something. There's take in every give, or whatever analogy you want to use. But this consistency, everybody seems to be cool with it. I don't get it. And when I started this, more or less around SummerSlam, it was because I was disgusted with SummerSlam. I regretted splitting the cost with a buddy, because I thought it could have been so much better, and used to be a flagship of pay-per-views for the company. Got good buys still, but only, I think, because of the name. I just think people should be asking questions and coming up with solutions, and they're not worried about it. Like it started. They got into the wrestling business with the wrestling, and it's less about the wrestling more than ever. Yeah, it's fine at WrestleMania to have Mike Tyson. It's fine to have those guest hosts. But when every televised event becomes a guest host, or doesn't pertain to wrestling because you're too busy doing a comedy spot with a wrestler, or you're too busy insulting a female wrestler, or whatever the angle is, it's not wrestling. It's not what used to be on your TV. It's not storyline, feud, rivalry, and match. It's whatever will fill 2 hours. If it's a pay-per-view, whatever will fill 3 hours. Justified $50. I don't think so all the time. I mean, just in the numbers alone. Maybe I mentioned this in part one, but I think I did. But Money in the Bank 2010. 165,000 buys compared to 267,000 buys of Night of Champions the year before. And there isn't a problem with this. I don't have a point. I'm not going anywhere with this. Like, I'm not. I'm not crazy. I understand that, there's got to be some loss because you can't be at your peak all the time. But these guys have gone so far out in left field again to break the mold that they created because they thought it wasn't working when it's worked every year. Vince McMahon, and this is what irritates me most times about the man. The man could right now care less about his product with the Connecticut Senate election loss right now than he ever had. But 5 years ago, the writers gave a damn. 10 years ago, Vince McMahon used to give a damn. It wasn't all about their returns because they knew their return rested on the shows, the pay-per-views, the merchandise, the rights and character fees and everything else that they take money in on. Everything a wrestling company should be has now gone to an entertainment company and wants to have wrestling in its, I want to call it, empire. It wants wrestling as a part of that. I just don't understand why the original mold of sell the wrestling company doesn't work for them anymore. Because it works for all the promoters I know. They want the break that Vince has. And, wrestling, it's been tough over the last couple of years for everybody, but wrestling has never really sold well, unless you got your break. And now, for most places, there isn't hometown wrestling. WWE is the biggest product if you want to go outside of low circuit Philadelphia or wherever your area is. And for me, it's Philadelphia, and yeah, they have a lot of events down there, but and no disrespect to the promoters, it's a lot of it. What I see from flyer to flyer is different companies. They're coming and going. They're not. It's too expensive to solidify, especially when it takes a lot just to ride it out to see if you have WWE level quality entertainment, quality wrestling on your card or not, and wrestlers that people are going to want to know. That's a major factor. They don't care about your talent. They're not going to care what you come out with. You could have the next big match and it's not going to matter. But what you're looking at is basically, like I said in previous videos, it's about $60 after you walk away from it, $63. And it bleeds money, but it charges so much money. And again, it's even increased on the consumer from 2009 to 2010. And why? What changed? As soon as they seen the decrease, why? I want to know what merited it, and I'm putting it on the form. Actually, that's today's question. Why do you think that over the 5 years of financial loss from this quarter of each year, the last 5 years, why do you think the $5 increase worked and they still continued to get not the numbers they used to get, but they still get numbers that aren't pitiful? They're not WWE standard numbers again, but they're not pitiful. And that's what's bad. It's WWE who set these standards, and now you see WWE coming in under its own standards. More information at WrestleTalkShow.webs.com. Send emails to cwecompany@gmail.com. Visit our Facebook and Twitter pages. And again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you later on in the week. Probably, I want to say Friday at the latest. See ya.